Hiya. So, to cut a long story short, well, it's not that long, but it's boring. I did a Funko Pop unboxing yesterday, and it went to shit. I had a terrible cold. Still got it. It's this one that's like one day it's awful, and then the next day it's not too bad, and today's a not too bad day. So the video went to shit, partly because I had a cold, and also I put a new screen protector on my phone because I record these videos on an iPhone 7 Plus, and I covered the front mic, so the sound sounded really muffled, and I wasn't in a fit enough state to overdub it with anything. So anyway, this was what I unboxed, and I'm really pleased with it. This came yesterday from eBay. It took a little while to get here. The guy, the eBay seller who I bought it off, had been on holiday, then he was working nights. I ordered this in early October, but it finally came. And of course it is Bret the Hitman Hart, who goes in my wrestling collection. So really happy to have this. And I've actually met Bret Hart. I've got a photo with him. I'll put a picture of that up. I met him about 8 years ago. But yeah, very happy with this. Vaulted now. I paid a little bit over what it's worth, but it wasn't a bad price, about £30 I think, a bit more including postage. So this video is going to be something a little bit different, as it's not an unboxing. Those of you who've seen a couple of my previous Funko videos will know that I collect certain wrestling pops, but they've all got to have a certain theme, that theme being they all competed in, at one point, for a fairly significant stage in their careers, WCW, World Championship Wrestling. And there's not that many. I mean, I've got Bret here, and he was a WCW competitor, so he qualifies under my self-imposed rules. But there's not that many more. I mean, we've got Hollywood Hogan, Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, who I unboxed a week or so ago. Sting, of course, Scott Hall. But there's not that many more. I can think of one who would qualify, and he is a Grail, Rey Mysterio. I think there's 3 different versions of Rey Mysterio, and the cheapest is now valued at close to £80. So now that Rey Mysterio's back in WWE, I'm hoping they'll bring a new Rey Mysterio pop out, one that's going to be a reasonable price, at least at the beginning. But I don't know. But I would get it, and I would get one of the other ones if I ever saw them cheap, but that's not going to happen. So yeah. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rank my top 5 most wanted WCW Pops. Obviously they'll be under the WWE branding, as most of you who are into wrestling will know. Vince McMahon, World Wrestling Federation Entertainment, as it was back in 2001, bought World Championship Wrestling in March 01, and all its trademarks, likenesses, and the all-important videotape library, which makes the WWE network rather better value for money in the current era. It's a wish list, by the way. I'm not saying these are coming out. Chances are none of them will ever come out. I'm kind of confident on one of them coming out, I think, eventually. Top 5 of my most wanted WCW Pops, a personal list, but here's what I'd like to see. Number 5, I've put Macho Man Randy Savage, but the NWO version. Now, this is a funny one because there's already, I think, 3 different Randy Savage Funko Pops been released, but they're all in his WWE style, and his sort of mid to late 80s WWE style. The colourful bandana and shades. I'd like to see a NWO version of the Macho Man in his black and white. He was in the Wolfpack briefly, but less said about that the better. And I just think that'd look really great. It'd look cool. Be a nice tribute to Macho Man. But I put this one at number 5, although, you know, if it came out tomorrow, I'd want it like yesterday. Although having already been 3 Randy Savage Pops come out, I just don't see this being very likely. So Randy Savage, but the NWO Randy Savage at number 5. At number 4, I'm going to put Sid Vicious, or as his WWF name was, Psycho Sid. I think this one is a little more likely than Randy Savage. Sid, he's a bit of a Marmite kind of guy. I personally always liked Sid. I think he had his shortcomings, but he just oozed sort of a natural kind of intense charisma to me. Particularly in his WWF run in the mid to late 90s, where he actually won 2 world championships. He had a couple of spells in WCW. His probably most successful one would have been after he left WWF in, I think, 97, and in a very brief run in ECW the following year. And then in 99 he rejoined WCW and he won the US title a couple of times, and he won the WCW championship twice, I think, or was it even 3 times? At least twice. And Sid's look never really changed. It was the blonde curly hair, the wild eyes and the black trunks, and he had that look in WWF and WCW. So bring a Sid pop out under the WWE line and it looked like he certainly qualifies for the WCW collection that I'm putting together. Unlike, say, if I bought a Randy Savage figure, and it just wouldn't look like anything like how Randy Savage looked throughout his, what was it, 6-7 year career in World Championship Wrestling. So Sid at number 4, and I do like Sid. I'm a bit of a fan of Sid on the quiet. Number 3 is Harlem Heat, Booker T and Stevie Ray. This would be a good 2-pack, really. I think that'd be pretty amazing. Otherwise, I think maybe just a single Booker T pop, because with the best will in the world, Stevie Ray didn't really have much of a solo career going on after he and his brother split up. How many times did they win the tag team titles? 10, I think. I think it was 10. It was a lot, put it that way. Booker T, of course, went on to win 5 WCW world titles. He was the five-time champion. And of course, he's now a WWE Hall of Famer. He's done commentary, he's been a general manager. He still wrestles a bit, I think. He runs his own sort of mini promotion somewhere. Him being a Hall of Famer, he seems kind of a fairly good likely target to have a pop. But if they brought out a Harlem Heat 2-pack akin to the Sting and Luger one, which I have and I think's great, and there's a Money Inc. one that's come out that it does catch my eye, but it doesn't really fit in with my WCW vibe. The Money Inc., of course, being Ted DiBiase and Erwin R. Shyster. That's a really cool looking 2-pack, that, but I'm not going to get it unless I happen to see it going for a song somewhere. That song being the White Cliffs of Dover. What the fuck? So yeah, Funko and WWE, get your heads together, release a Harlem Heat 2-pack, or at the very least, a Booker T pop. Number two on my wish list is Vader, or Big Van Vader, whatever you want to call him. The Mastodon, big name in early 90s WCW. You know, I associate him more with the pre-explosion era, you know, when WCW and wrestling in general exploded in sort of 96 following the NWO, and then a year and a bit later it was WWF Attitude, and come 98, pretty much everyone in the world is watching wrestling at some point. Vader, he was a mega heel, the mega monster heel in WCW in the early to mid 90s, and then he left and went to the WWF, and he kind of had a run-in with Shawn Michaels, and his main event career kind of came to a halt before it really got started. But the thing about Vader, which would make him a good pop, I mean, he's got the mask and, you know, that iconic look, so it'd be a really visually striking figure. And also, he's another one like Sid Vicious, where his look hasn't really changed from promotion to promotion. So he's still got that kind of weird full of holes mask and the singlet and everything. I think he'd make a really cool pop. He died only this year as well, so nice tribute to the man. He's not a Hall of Famer yet, but I think that's probably only a matter of time now since his passing. Multi-time world champion, he had a massive career in Japan. One of the most memorable and talented big men probably the sport's ever seen, until his career sort of peaked and then went on a bit of a downward spiral in the late 90s. But he did go back to Japan after he left WWF and kind of did a little bit of a renaissance. But I think most people associate his, certainly in the Western world, associate his glory years being sort of the feuds with Sting in 92, 93, and then his match with Ric Flair at Starrcade in '93, and his feud with Hogan in '95 wasn't great, but, well, we won't go into that. This isn't a wrestling discussion. I'd love to do a wrestling discussion video, but plenty other people do them, and I don't know if I've got anything new to say about anything really. So I'm shoehorning Funko into my love of wrestling on YouTube here. And the number one, and I believe I mentioned this wrestler, this WCW superstar, in my WCW showcase video, is of course Kevin Nash. Big Daddy Cool, Big Sexy Diesel, Big Lazy, whatever you want to call him. Yeah, Kevin Nash. He's not my very favourite WCW guy. I just think, what with there being a Hollywood Hogan pop, albeit one that is, I've got it and it's probably my favourite, and it stands need to be because I paid rather a lot for it. And there's a Scott Hall one, well, it's Razor Ramon, but it is the Chase Razor, and he's in NWO. So we've got two of the original three NWO. And really, we need Kevin Nash in there, in his NWO get-up. We need a Kevin Nash pop, or at the very least a Diesel one that looks like he would have looked in WCW as well. Kevin Nash, of course, former WWE champion, and went to WCW with Scott Hall. Of course, the catalysts for the NWO angle and the general explosion of professional wrestling, the next big era where WCW could do well, they did do plenty wrong, but in terms of making money for a couple of years, they could do no wrong, certainly. So, yeah, we need a Kevin Nash pop just to complete the set, really. Nash is, of course, a Hall of Famer. Bring out a Diesel one, WWE, by all means. Hopefully it'll look suitable enough for my WCW collection. I know companies aren't going to bring products out just to satisfy one person, but this is a personal wish list, of course, and I think a Kevin Nash one's fairly likely, to be honest, because, you know, he's a Hall of Famer, he's multi-time world champion in both WWE and WCW. Still a guy who sort of shows up as kind of a legend on WWE programming and the network from time to time. So I think this one, out of the five that I've chosen today, well, 4 plus 1 tag team, this one's probably the most likeliest. I think Booker T's quite likely as well. Sid, I'm not sure that's likely. NWO Savage, no, I don't think so. And Vader, yeah, I don't know. Like I say, it's a wish list. And there's plenty of others. I could probably sit here for a few minutes and then think of 5 more WCW guys. I mean, off the top of my head, WCW guys who'd have good pops. DDP. I did think of DDP, but I just didn't quite want enough to put him in a top 5. Raven, who most people would associate with ECW. Actually, an ECW line would be pretty cool, wouldn't it? Could have Sandman and just incredible Shane Douglas, people like that. So yeah, Raven, who never really went past the mid-card in WCW, but he had that iconic sort of grungy kind of look, and I think that'd be a good one. Who else in WCW? Actually, Big Show. I'm very surprised there hasn't been a Big Show pop. I mean, he was a lot younger when he was in WCW and it's called The Giant, so if they brought out a Big Show pop of how the Big Show looks now with a bald head, it's not going to look right, is it? So, and I don't think they're going to bring out a circa 1996 monster truck match against Hogan Giant pop, are they? I'm surprised they've not brought out one of the Big Show, and he is a WCW alumnus when all said and done. There's others that'd be good, but I don't know. I don't follow the release dates or the rumour mill for Funko. I probably ought to, really. So I don't know what, if any, more WWE licensed pops are coming out. There must be some at some point, because they're going to be one of Funko's most popular lines, aren't they? I'm sure most of the pops that have come out have sold well. I like the ones I've got, and mine's a very limited collection because I set these sort of restrictions on myself to only have WCW related Funkos. So I've got to think there'll be some more coming out fairly soon. Probably not by the end of the year, because I think we would have heard about them by now. If anyone knows, if anyone's heard anything on the rumour mill, on the grapevine, then please leave a comment down below. While I'm at it, my Stashpedia, I'll give a link to that in the video description box, and also there it is, look, on the bottom of your screens, you lucky people. Follow me on Twitter at WWFatherTed. Subscribe to me on here. Next Funko video, I don't know. I really don't know. I might do another thing like this, sort of a bit of a wish list. I'm not sure what else I'm wishing for, really. Maybe I'll talk about other franchises. One franchise that I really think needs to be made into Funko Pops, and it's been long rumoured for years apparently, the US Office. I saw a mock-up a while ago of how all the Office cast would look under Pops. It was some fan-made thing, but it looked amazing. And I love The Office, my favourite sitcom, if you can call it a sitcom, mockumentary, comedy, whatever you want to call it. Rewatched it time and time again, and just the wealth of characters there, and there's the potential for chase editions and exclusives, and I just don't understand why it's not been done yet. There's just something stopping the licensing agreement or whatever. I honestly don't know. There again, I don't follow the rumour mill enough to know exactly why these things are or aren't happening. But yeah, The Office, I'd love. So maybe I'll do a video with my 5 most wanted Office Pops, and then get really disappointed and cry myself to sleep when another year passes and we don't get any. But yeah, that is a collection I would start, and I would want all of them, or most of them, I think, in some form. But anyway, that's for another day. I'll hopefully do another Funko video. I do other things as well on YouTube. There is something that I've got in the pipeline, but it's going to be live streamed first, and then, fingers crossed, touch wood, I will edit the highlights, and that'll be a video that'll be coming up on here early next week. Fingers crossed. I'm glad this cold of mine's not restricted me, and the fact that I've not got a new screen protector on my phone yet means that I've not fucked up the mic again yet. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'm going to go and enjoy my new Bret Hart pop that I unboxed for you yesterday, but that you didn't see me unboxing because of all the snot and muffly audio. Thank you very much. Follow me on Stashpedia, follow me on Twitter, subscribe to me here. I'll see you all soon. See ya! Woo!